Hey everyone, we're back.
Hey guys.
We are. Hey.
I don't see any view. Oh, 5 people. Rock on.
All right. Come on, guys. Come on in.
So,
Water's fine.
so today we got a good show planned. James, you have some releases from the Shizuoka Hobby Show to announce, right?
Right. We have a few things on that to cover. We have the June shows. There are not very many. Yeah, it's June. You know how this starts working. The shows will peter out here over the next couple of months. And then we
Right.
have the actual June kits to talk about, at the end of the episode before we go off. Mr.
Oh, cool.
Chester has volunteered to be lead in charge here, so we're all just going to follow his lead and see where we wind up this evening.
You can put me in the hot seat tonight. Sean, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a while.
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be back in action. I went to Indianapolis last weekend. I went to the Mecum auction. That was pretty cool.
Ooh. So tell us about that.
It's pretty cool. I don't know if they broadcast it live on television. I don't know if it's live, but I mean they broadcast at least a good portion of it. Really cool show if you've never had the opportunity to go to that. Especially if they have all kinds of cars, but I especially like muscle cars, and there's a huge variety of muscle cars, everything from common stuff, but then they have a lot of rare stuff. And what's really cool about an auction like that, as opposed to like going to a typical car show, is you can climb all over the cars because they're for sale. You can open them up. You can sit inside. You can open up the hood. So it's a great opportunity to go get a lot of reference photos. So I enjoy going there and taking a bunch of detailed stuff I know I'm going to build or maybe want to build in the future. And so I probably shot 1,000 photos of.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did get to go to a Barrett-Jackson auction when I was in Arizona. And I went on a Saturday night, so it was like Super Saturday night. So all the big dollar cars were there that night. So Mecum is like more everyday people instead of like $1 million cars, right?
I'd say it's both. They it takes course over like 10 days maybe. The first weekend is the average, common collector car stuff. The second weekend is the big high dollar stuff. They have multi-million dollar cars there and celebrity cars. There was a Fast and Furious movie car there, and a Knight Rider car, original Knight Rider car was on display. So that stuff's all there too. So yeah.
Were all the cars there when you were there, or do they bring them in trucks and stuff as the week goes by?
There was a lot of stuff there because there's several big collectors that'll have they have like premier auctions where they, I don't know, like
it's
a big
like collector or something.
Yeah, a collector may be liquidating their whole collection of. So they had several named collections. There was one that had a bunch of high dollar Ferraris and high dollar like Hemi Cudas and Boss, 429 Mustangs and those kind of things. I can't remember the name of the collector. There was 2 or 3 different ones like that, and one of the IndyCar owners was selling a collection of pace cars. He had original pace cars from all the races. Penske. Penske had a big collection of stuff he was getting rid of. So, yeah, definitely cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you post the pictures online anywhere, like a photo or something?
Yep, I posted a bunch of stuff last weekend on my Facebook, Sven's World of Wheels.
Okay,
check it out.
Cool.
That's how I knew where he was, because he was posting at the end of the night. So as I was going to work, I was like, "Oh, well, that's fancy. Oh, that's a nice one. Might have owning that one. Oh, yeah, ooh." So, little jealous.
Yeah, me too. I was much better off going with you to that than where I went. I went to Columbus to our favorite Japanese grocery store and bakery.
I felt bad. You had texted me. You're like, "Hey, you want to get together? I'm in your neighborhood," and I'm like, "Oh, I can't
Sorry.
miss the opportunity."
So
I think
this, go ahead.
I would say the key question for Sean is, what did he buy since he was there, right? Like,
Oh, right. I didn't buy anything. Even the small dollar stuff was out of my price range. Although there was cars there you could have easily bought stuff in the $10,000 range. In fact, the guy I went with, a friend of mine, had an '85 Mazda RX-7,
Ooh,
and it sold for $10,000.
okay. Well, maybe you can take your S2000 someday.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. If I had to get rid of it.
I think that would be the place if you were to.
Yeah, I tell you, the auction thing scares me a little bit. Like I mean, you could do great, or you could really take a bath on stuff. So
You end up buying your own car back, right?
yeah, I don't think I'm wired to do the auction thing. My friend, he was biting his nails when the Mazda crossed the booth, and in fact, it didn't. It had to sell like afterwards.
Okay.
It didn't.
Didn't
They
meet reserve.
Yeah, it didn't meet the reserve. It did
Okay.
eventually get to that price, but they had a bunch of back and forth negotiation that went on behind the scenes.
Okay. All right. So this past weekend, I took a drive down to James's territory, down in met him over in Pittsburgh for a small show. I don't know. There was a small contest, probably what, 50 cars on display.
yeah, something like that. You were 50. Miku
yeah.
was 51 in that, so I think it was closer to 70.
Yeah, maybe
75, but yeah.
70, 75. So they did top 3 people's choice. So you voted on which model you thought was the best one, and the best, the most votes got number 1, second most got second, and third. I didn't win, but I didn't really expect it to. That's not my thing. I don't wire engines and plumb stuff. My stuff's box stock, and that's a special kind of award. People's choice.
I was never a huge fan when the club I was belonged to before, did our 16-18 category show, and we gave away first place over those 16 categories. This was no categories. We're giving out 3 trophies, period. Well,
Right.
I don't like this because James asked me, and everybody I ran into that I know, all the local guys were like, "What'd you bring? What'd you put in the show?" I'm like, "I'm not putting anything in the show." And like I told James, we just had this discussion 2 weeks ago. People's Choice is not my contest format, and I mean, 75 models sounds like a really tiny, awful show, but I kept telling Mr. Tester over there, I said, you don't want to come down here, because last year there were maybe 18, 20 models on the table, because the contest isn't the point of this. It was always just sort of like the club that runs the September show here in town, which is a 200 model show or so. It's the biggest one around here, if you don't count the IPMS all genre thing that we do. It's like they just wanted to have a swap meet, and this model contest, I'm using air quotes, became a thing that they just sort of did in the background. They're like, "Hey, you want to have a contest?" I guess, sure, I guess, why not? We got these 2 empty tables over here. Let's put something on them. And so, if he hadn't come, I probably wouldn't have even gone, to be honest.
Really? Okay.
We're in that weird spot where like I bought all those domestic kits at NNL 3 weeks ago. So
right.
like, what did I have to buy? I mean, I found a couple things anyway, but I could have just bought those at the hobby shop anytime. So,
Right.
but it was good to to see Mr. Tester again and hang out and wander around. I teased John Brolin, one of mutual friends of ours from down in West Virginia, that's saying that, like, you would come up here. He's like, "Oh, I've been to that show before. I'm not going to drive all the way up there for that." And I said, "Well, but you don't know, John. There could be that one model you've always been looking for. Could finally be there this time." Nah, it's the same guys that are always there, and they're traveling kit museums of $300 old MPC annuals and stuff like that. So,
it's funny you mentioned that, James. A couple people mentioned in the comments on the video that I posted that, they would love to pay $140 for a Soxon Martin 73 Duster. And, I live in Canada and that would cost $300, or I live in Europe and that would cost, $400 or whatever. So, we're really kind of spoiled with these little shows that we can go to and pick up, a Jaguar for $5. I paid $5 for this Hasegawa Jaguar, and James and I spread it out on the table. It's actually in a Ziploc bag. The whole kit is in a Ziploc bag, but yeah, we spread it out on the table. It's missing one armrest, so no big deal. And the windshield's cracked in half.
I watched the video that you posted earlier in the week, Mr. Tester, and I thought that kit looked pretty cool. I was like, man, $5 for that, that's a good deal. That to me, that would have probably made it worth the trip. Like,
so now the question is do I need to find another kit to replace the armrest and the windshield, or just work with it and make scratch build my own armrest and use a piece of Mylar or something for the windshield?
I saw you were saying it's already been
customized,
customized
into a straight convertible throughout the window frames.
Right.
I don't know those cars that well. Were they ever offered that way from the factory, or did the frames were mandatory?
I don't know.
So I don't believe they were. I think that whole architecture was part of the hard top of that car, because even with the convertible boot in place, you still had all that framework up. I think the box art shows it there. Yeah, all that framework and that Targa top part there. There's when that's up, the roof. I'm pointing at the screen like it's going to show up on his screen. It comes up to that bar over sort of the edge of the seats, that it rolls up to there, and then there's a Targa top, literally a metal piece in the real car that fits on the roof, and you can have a Targa or the whole convertible or half a convert. It's Jaguar in the 80s. It's fancy. It's overly complicated. It probably didn't run three quarters of the time you try to start it because of the electronics in it. But
was that when Ford owned it?
No, that's way before Ford. That's back in like the Lucas Electronics days. Back when.
Okay. Maybe I could chop the windshield and make like a speedster out of it or something.
Bad idea, actually.
Let's say
Tim Custom. Where's Tim? I know he's in there.
Let's say I can't remember which armrest is it missing. You could since that's whichever armrest it's missing, it comes with left-hand drive, right-hand drive. You could just put a tarp over where the passenger seat goes and make a whole speedster out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's already partially customized anyways, right? I think it's
right.
Just good for it.
Right. So along that idea, I was thinking to myself, what makes a good kit? In my mind, it isn't necessarily, it's Tamiya all the things, because Tamiya makes some crappy kits too. Not recently, but in the olden days, there were some crappy kits from Tamiya. Hasegawa, same thing. Fujimi, I hate them, but I buy them for the subject matter. Oshima, I'm kind of hit or miss with. So, not all Japanese kits are 100% either. A lot of people say, oh, AMTs are crap. Well, no, they're not as bad as you think if you want to build that kit. I buy AMT for subject matter. I don't buy it because I love to build them. What do you think, Sean? You've built a lot more domestic kits than I have.
It's a good question. For me, the body proportions have to be right and accurate. That to me makes or breaks a kit. And the subject matter has to be something that I guess I'm interested in. But because there's been great kits that were the body, lots of detail, probably maybe they assemble well too, but the body is like ill proportioned or just got something majorly wrong with it. It's not going to look right. I will pass on that kit every time. Um, I that's a like just a prerequisite. For me, I don't really care about how much detail. I can put more detail in things if I want to. I can swap a chassis. I can throw in different motors. But if the body is not right, I'll pass on it. There's been some Revell stuff that I've just been like, no, they missed it. It wasn't right, and it's not. I mean, actually, I'm not going to single out any kit manufacturer because over the years, all of them have had misses of some kit here or there where the body wasn't right. And then there's some of the older like Johan stuff, and the bodies look great.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, single flat plate chassis, and that's fine for me.
Yeah, kit bash it with something better. But yeah, I think you're right with the body proportions. If they're good, then you can, at least you're working with something good. If you end up with like that Palmer reissue by Lindbergh of the 72 Challenger, it was a dog to begin with, and there's nothing you really can do. Not much. You probably could. I think Hoo Ha could probably make a stock one out of it. But James, what do you think?
I was gonna say, well, there's certain this, certain that. I think it's come to a point now where, as somebody who builds a lot of box stock stuff too, outside of my race car, PE nightmares, is the fact that it would be fitment first. I want this kit to go together and not fight me, but I really don't think in the last 30 years probably is a break off line. If you start looking at, like I always say, Revell's modern era sort of began with the 69 Camaro, the 64 Fairlane, and the 32 Ford series. Like from that point, and when they started making kits that they realized they weren't going to destroy every time they cut a roof off something or whatever, those kits go together. Like the 92 Mustang has the roof that's too low, the 67 Camaro has the weird rear end to it, and like there's all these proportional issues with the kits, but none of those kits, if you don't care about how accurate they are going to fight you when they build them. They're all going to go together. And to me, it has some junk in the motorized 80s days. A lot of it was at that little show we were at. I've never seen so many 82 Skyline, base model Skylines in one place before. That wasn't a Tamiya factory. Like those kits are atrocious fit wise. They're motorized and they got figures in them that don't fit, stuff like that. But in modern times, you pick a Tamiya kit up, that's a subject matter question at that point, because the fit's going to be fine. It's going to go together. Do you want to build that specific car or not? And I think that if round two, and I know they won't do it, although they, because nostalgia is the whole point of that company to a certain extent, not quite as much as Atlantis is, but still, is like at least Aoshima, when they make an old kit, lately they've been putting that this is a kit from the 1980s, and it may not be to modern standards on like the data box on the side that tells you about the kit. And I think we discussed this either offline or recently at NNL, or maybe it wasn't even with you, it might have been with somebody else at NNL, where it's like with AMT, in the era of time when kits just appeared on the shelf. Oh, I know what it was when we were discussing bad Revell kits with the Tri-5s. Like, you didn't know if it was new or just reissued new. And I think, especially in the United States, since a lot of these foreign kits didn't come over in the past, they were real hard to find. You had to know a guy who knew a guy who'd get it from MRC for you or whatever. A lot of those kits, there's no history to them. Like, you buy them, they might be old, but you've never seen them before, even if they are old. Whereas the 49 Mercury from AMT, it's been reissued 11 gajillion times. It's not a bad kit in the first place, really, but that kit's not new. But if you haven't seen a certain round two kit, because this was a problem when round two started, it was like, oh, it's new. No, it's not. It's like 40 years old. This builds like crap. Well, it doesn't build like crap necessarily. It builds like every 40-year-old MPC AMT kit did 40 years ago. That's just the way kits were engineered in the past. So modernity, slide mold tooling, whatever you want to go into, that's what makes a good kit at this point. There's a lot of things that you would buy, like Sean said, proportionally. A lot of the Johan kits, a lot of the old AMT annuals are still the most proportionally accurate version of an older car, but that's, you're gonna get a whole new chassis for it. You're gonna do a lot more work to those old kits, and I think that goes without saying. But you're gonna do more work to that old kit than you would a new one. And so, right. If it's an older subject matter, that becomes a passion project. Like, how much do I like this car to deal with this mess, kind of thing. Whereas a new kit, no matter who makes it, it's more like, oh, do I want to build a car model of that thing? Yeah, sure, why not? Because I'm not going to fight with it. It's gonna, there might be a thing or two.
It's going to be an enjoyable experience.
It's not going to be a 1940 Ford.
I actually don't even
USAC build. It's not going to be what was it this year? The 53 Ford pickup, that monogram kit. With the gap that was 3 miles long between the cab and the bed.
Right.
When a model has fitment issues, I sort of look at that as a challenge. As like I said, as long as the body looks okay, it doesn't bother me if it has all kind of fitment issues, because I know it'll deter lots of people from building it, and then I can do.
The exclusivity at a contest.
I'll put one together and put the effort into it, and assuming I can get it together, and make it look good, I'll have a rare one that is out of the norm.
In mainstreamer engine and mainstreamer color, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How about you?
I used to be that guy.
What makes a great kit for you?
Like I was saying, the fitment is number one for me. I maybe I'm just getting lazy in my old age, that if it doesn't, all these Tamiya kits, all these Japanese kits behind me, I like them because they're easy and they make a good looking model on the shelf without a lot of fuss. But years ago I did all of these Mopars over here, and yeah, I did just like you said. I take a good body and slap everything else underneath it to make what I wanted it to be. 75 Roadrunner is a good example of that. That was an MPC body with a 68 Roadrunner chassis and an engine from a Dart, and it just kit bashed the whole thing together to make something that I really wanted. 75 Roadrunner. How many of them do you see at a contest? We actually saw one at the contest this weekend, but I hadn't seen one in a long time. But another thing that like now with the 3D printed stuff, it's all about subject matter. If you buy something that's 3D printed, it's because nobody makes it, and you really have to love the subject matter. Like the Time Attack K truck, nobody's going to make that. So when I saw somebody was making those in 3D print, I bought it. That's unusual. You're never going to see it. And if I do build it someday, then it'll be the only one on the table. I guarantee it.
Yeah, subject matter is definitely important.
The Alpha model and PZY resin kits, the high-end resin stuff, and even like what's that other Model Factory Hero, those are really super detailed. There's not a lot of parts, like an Alpha model probably has 40 resin parts, and then all the rest is photo etched and decals. But they make beautiful shelf models. They don't have an engine, but they're beautiful shelf models, and that's why I enjoy building them, because they look good when they're finished, and they're not that much fuss. The the parts for the most part are just, scuff them and paint them. You don't have to do a lot of body work or sanding to them. And that's all I got to say about that.
Nice.
That Roadrunner was a great example of because that was not, he didn't do anything to it as far as like doing any swaps. He built that out of the box more or less, and nothing against the model, because the model was fine. It was just an illustrative example of how awful in reality that kit fits together, because there's 8 miles between the radiator and the front fenders. There's 8 miles between the fenders and the sidewalls. You looked in the engine and you were looking out underneath the car onto the table.
You saw the tops of the tires, yeah.
Yeah, as I say, and you know that if you put it up on a forum someplace, everybody would be like, well, they need to take the Monaco that's now currently in a 4-door police car format, and they need to clone the body back to a 2-door, and it would be so fantastic. And it's like, you either don't remember or you haven't seen it lately, because no, I mean, it's an interesting body, like the way that sort of weird fastback to the back of that is, with the front end of what is to me a police car.
Right.
It's a weird car, but I wouldn't buy one, even if it is a weird car, because I built the 78 Monaco enough times over the years as a police car that there's no part of me would want to go back and re-experience that again, because I know that it's going to be a hole with some stuff inside of it with a lot of air floating around, and like I'm not going kit bashing 15 kits into that to build that. That is a subject matter interest that I have no interest in.
I think I only built it because somebody made the decals for the seats. So that was the reason I built the whole car, I think.
There was a good comment in the chat. The Kraut, whoever that is, said the perfect kit does not yet exist. Being a builder means finding solutions to finish any build. I would tend to agree with that. I think it's up to the at the end of the day, they're just parts in a box, every kit, and it really is up to the builder to do something with them. To interpret the parts, the instructions, utilize the skills that you have, and make something out of it. So there's been great kits that are built poorly and end up as something not very something you wouldn't want to share. And then there's been crappy kits that a great builder can turn it into a piece of art. So
right. There was something on, I think it was on Facebook. A friend back in Arizona likes to build box stock models, quickly, and he really enjoys building them. I'm not going to mention any names. You guys probably know who it is, but somebody was griping about a kit, saying this kit is garbage, and he immediately posted the picture of the one he built and said, I didn't have any problem with it. Went together just fine for me, But I think it's funny that the way you look at things really determines how hard it's going to be.
Positive attitude, and I'm positive this old model sucks. I think what it really does come down to is exactly, how much work do you want to dedicate to this project? If you understand going in, there are going to be things that I need to do in order to improve this model and make it into something, then yeah, I'm perfectly fine with doing that. It's the surprise in the box, right? And you go, oh no. But again, we don't really get that much, Mueller era of AMT, that what I just mentioned about Revell, the surprises in the box don't exist as much as they used to,
right?
And that's a good thing. And in round 2, with their reimagining of old tools, now those fit fine too. So that may end up getting them in trouble 10 years from now, when it's like, oh, that 70 Coronet was fantastic, I'm going to go buy this 69 Camaro, and it's like, oh no, that was wrong 69 Camaro. Or at least from a build experience, it's still going to be the wrong 69 Camaro.
But when Sean and I, we share this when you're building for promotion or for box stock for box art. There's usually a deadline of when you have to have something finished. When you're building that way, Sean, do you do like body, interior, chassis, engine, or do you do like I do and say I'm going to paint all the black pieces at once?
I do it like that. I've always built in an assembly line style, so
Okay.
it just, I guess, more for a time efficiency and material efficiency standpoint, I will glue all the sub assemblies together, then I'll paint all the same color, then I sort of glue and finish in that order.
Do you assemble as you go, or do you paint everything and then start assembly?
No, everything gets painted first. I don't really do any assembly until everything's painted.
Okay. So yeah, we're very similar that way.
Yeah, and normally, like in my normal building, I'll have 3 or 4 kits going on at the same time, and I'll do the same thing where I'll have, if I'm going to paint black, I paint the parts from 4 kits black.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
I've got a question. I've got a question for Sean. Sean, in expediency sense, like you've got a project and it's due and it should have been given to you a month ago, but it is what it is. Have you ever gone into the point of like that you're only going to be photographing like one side of the model, so you don't put the engine in, you don't paint the chassis, you just throw it together, and you're getting a bare, we're getting a 3/4 front shot on this, and that's what needs to be in the camera focus. So that's what we're going to work on, because
absolutely.
There's a guy in the UK named Spencer Pollard who does aircraft models, and he was on one of the other podcasts a couple of months ago saying that oftentimes, since he's building it for a magazine or for promotion, and it's only going to be shown from that one angle, he won't paint the bottom of the plane. He won't worry about painting the other side of the airplane that you can't see, or decaling the other side of the airplane. And it's literally just decal painted and weathered on 1/3, the front third of that plane. That's all he works on, because that's the only thing that's going to ever be seen, and then it's off to the next project.
Yeah, no, I've frequently done that. I usually build the whole thing, but I may only photograph, the good side. I won't worry about. Or I have built things where when I did the Ford pickups for the 69 and the 70 Mobius Ford pickups, I only built one chassis. And because I never actually glued the model together. So when I built the 69 first, I took the chassis apart. I actually just, took the body and the bed off, reused the chassis for the 70, put a new body on it. Eventually, I did go back and build a second chassis with the correct engine and do all the other stuff so I could have them for display. But for deadline, yeah, whatever it takes to meet the deadline. At the point where I'm building those, it's for a purpose. It's not for my shelf necessarily. So whatever it takes to get it done.
Reason being, I have 3 promotional stuff kits to build, and so I'm a little concerned that I don't know if I'm going to make it.
Mr. Tester, you have a little bit, because you have to film all your stuff. You can't sort of. I mean, do you take liberties, or do you?
No. When I found in my years of YouTube experience, which isn't a lot, but I've kind of figured out my audience, and they don't really want to see me build an entire kit. They want to see a portion of it. They want to see me. How do you do a paint job? How do you do photo etch? How do you do windows? How do you polish your paint? And so I'll film just that part of it, put that on the YouTube, and then finish the model kit or get it real close to being finished and say, all right, we're going to do final assembly today. And, I'll just slap a few pieces together, glue a few pieces together, and say, boom, here it is. But, years ago, I used to do, 3-4 part series on building a whole kit from start to finish. And usually the views would be high in the beginning, but then they would kind of taper off towards the end. And then the last video would get all the views, almost as many as the first, but, all the middle videos, they didn't care about it. So that really told me that they don't really want to see me build model cars. They just want to see the finished product and maybe learn something along the way.
The people that are going to follow you through a series are people that want to see that model kit get built for, a specific reason. Whereas people that want to see you build a model, just in the general sense, yeah, you want to see what's in the box and what you're going to do with it. Let's have a chat about paint and all that kind of stuff. And then, money shot me at the end here. I don't care about the middle part. What's it look like when you're done? Is it,
We'll talk about a hippie guy that people only watch the first 3 minutes and the last 3 minutes of his videos. Just for exactly that.
All right, Mr. Tester, next.
We let's talk about those new releases, because I'm excited to hear about what's coming.
Well, I don't think there's anything here you haven't seen before. That's the problem.
Well,
so the Shizuoka Hobby Show or the Shizuoka. I love listening to people try to pronounce that town name, because everybody adds more and more vowels and syllables to it. So the last video listened to, it was a Shizuoka. I'm like, okay, there's not nearly that many letters in that word, but sure, go rock yourself off. I thought I had a window ready to go, but I did not. So let me get this picture up. So some stuff as we go through it here will go flying by, because it's in their June releases, so we're not going to sit here and talk about things twice. They couple of random Hasegawa things that we don't really have pictures to, but they were from the show itself. I need to zoom that in a little bit. There we go. Now we can see it. So this is an Evangeline branded Mazda Cosmo Hasegawa kit. That Mazda's been around, I don't know, since the late 1990s, so there's nothing new about the kit there. But yes, you do get a resin girl, all of the things, because why wouldn't you? And I suppose the orange stripe is new. None of the other Mazda Cosmos have had that. Mazda Cosmo is kind of an interesting car. I mean, they make a full detail one, the one that has like the PE and the white metal engine and stuff like that. So you could, that's not this kit necessarily, but I mean, you can make a full detail Mazda Cosmo if you wanted to. But
has Hasegawa only put out the Cosmo, or have any other companies done that?
There may
Maybe Fujimi.
There may be a couple of odd scale ones floating around, but no, as far as I know, the major companies in 124 scale, it's only that's just the one.
All right. So if you love the Mazda Cosmo, you need to get the Hasegawa.
Right. I would buy a non-branded one, because this will end up being like $10 more than normal because of the resin girl and the Evangeline licensing attached to it. There's a run-of-the-mill one that usually runs like $18-20 if you buy it out of Japan, which would be, mid-30s over here if you could find one. There's a police car version of this, because it was one of the first cars that Japan used for like interstate. Everybody knows the GTR police cars that patrol the interstates in Japan. This was the first high-speed interceptor that Tokyo Metro used. Wow, that kit exists. So,
what's that, Sean?
They use those as police cars. Wow,
interesting.
Yeah, because this was the Cosmo's like a 1963, somewhere in that early 60s range. So this was, it was one of the first sports cars in Japan, really, because your Honda S600, S800 was like a roadster. That wasn't really a sports car, and so this was really the first high speed car. But we don't really appreciate here in the United States, I don't think, how recent Japanese automotive history is, just in general, right? Because it's after World War II. They're really, before World War II, it's motorcycles and stuff like that.
Right. So did the Hasegawa kit come with an engine? There's a full chassis?
There is a high detail version that comes with white metal parts to put an engine in, and PE hinges and underhood detail and stuff like that. So there is, technically speaking, a full detail version of it available if you wanted to pay for it. It's like the 2000 GT. There's a high detail version of that one too that has the engine and stuff. But then you're white metaling an engine together at that point. So
ooh, yeah. I haven't dealt with a white metal anything in a long time. That's not fun.
Let's see. Let's go on to the next thing here. I guess display wise, well, since we're already in Hasegawa, I'm just seeing how many times I have to hit this button as we zoom through things here. I think we locked my screen up. That's nice.
Excuse the technical difficulties.
It's that was too many arrows to hit at one time, I believe. I should know that using a third party sharing program, that wasn't going to work out real well. So next thing Hasegawa had on display, it's actually something that's new, is this 1993 the Nissan 300ZX, the naturally aspirated version. So it's not a turbo version, which means nothing because there's no engine in it anyway. But
right,
it is the front bumper thing. The front bumpers on the NA cars and the turbo cars were different. You see down here pretty much your major components: new front bumper, new rear spoiler, the new rear chassis subframe, because it's a slightly different all-wheel drive system that was in these cars back then, and then you have the glass down there because the headlights are different on this.
And that one's different from the Tamiya kit because that's 2+2.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've had the Tamiya kit for a long time. Never built it, but
it's a 2+2, and nobody has ever kitted a late version of the Z32 300. There's all the Tamiya kits, all the Fujimi kits. Everybody's was an 89 when that car first came out, and then no one has ever tooled up the later version, which is what this represents. So everybody, well, there was no late turbo either. Well, give them another 3 months, they'll turbo the bumper and throw an extra sheet of decals in, and you'll get what you want there. But yeah, I'll grab one just because it's why not, right? Add it to the Hasegawa pile of Nissans.
Funny story about the Nissan 300Z. So a friend of my mom, who lived down the street, had one of those twin turbo cars in her garage, and it was like their weekend car, right? And so they decided one day, oh, it's time to sell it. And my son was like 15 and a half, and he was like, Dad, that's the car. I need that car. Are you out of your mind? You can't have a twin turbo 300CX as your first car. Are you out of your mind? But he was genuinely disappointed that I couldn't get that for him for his first car.
I had a friend. I used to run autocross, and I had a friend that had one of these. It almost looked identical to the picture you're showing there. It was a black 2+2, and it was a fun car. It was a fun car to ride around. It was surprisingly really peppy, and it handled pretty well. Neat car.
Tim is in our comments saying high detail. So Tim, yes, let me stop sharing that. And let me go over here. Oops, that stopped my camera. That was the wrong button. And let me see which one of these tabs is it. This one. So this is the Mazda Cosmo, and it's high grade or high metal, high grade series. I knew there was some goofy name to it. And let me see our screen so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. The PE hinges, you get an engine in here, but as we sort of scroll through the glory of this kit, whoops, that took all my images away. Oh yeah, look at that. It's got a whole engine in there. And look at that. They didn't bother to paint that white metal at all. They just sort of slapped it together without actually finishing it at all. But it's got all of these bits to make it, and you got a little fret of PE, and you get a resin hood because obviously the hood is molded to the body in the real one. If you want to deal with all of that, then yes, there is a full detail version of the Mazda Cosmo. You're gonna have to.
You'd really have to love that car to go to all that
Yeah,
trouble.
I realize I'm flying through it, guys. I'm just trying to get to the part where they give the assembly airs, the white metal assembly instructions down here. Like, there's a lot going on to this, and it's all this MA, MB, this is all metal parts. Every bit of this is all going to be metal.
Would you put those in a tumbler maybe to polish them up?
You know, there was some guys, Paul Bretland over at International Scale Modeler, and a bunch of his guys were all building Model Factory Hero kits. And Model Factory Hero is, if it's not cast in resin, it's in white metal. And so you get, especially with like the big scale 112 scale stuff, you get like bags and bags and bags of white metal parts. And they actually went out and they bought pin tumblers, these big, like, they're the size of like a 17-inch laptop base, and you put like these little tiny little, they're not screws, but they look like little tiny screws, and they're magnetic and they spin and it bounces those little pins off everything, and that's the most efficient way to clean up white metal. I mean, you're still gonna have to sand the mold lines and stuff off of it and whatnot with a file, but I don't know that there's enough white metal here to justify spending $150 on a tumbler. But I mean, you even get like, there's all the wiring diagram down here. Cut 7 spark plug cords. Like, I guess rotaries being what they are, you're going to have an odd number of plug cords. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole shebang of extra stuff you're doing to this kit in order to make it full detail. And if that's something you're interested in, I mean, it's available. I'm not sure.
Tim, it's all you, man.
It says running. Well, it's running $45.30 because of the ridiculous exchange rate we have, but that's twice as much as the curbside kit costs. So, do you care enough to send your very best? I don't know. That's it's a decision that I can't make for you, kind of thing. Let me see here. I think there was one other. Yes, there it is. If I can. I'm trying to do this in some sort of order. I should have just went through it like I was going to, because heck with it at this point. But the big thing for Hasegawa is their all new tool kit, which is this Sylvia that just captures the heart and minds and imaginations of everybody who lived in 1979. But I mean, you are getting quite the model kit here. I mean, this is what Hasegawa will give you these days, where this car has probably almost as many parts as the real one did.
Huh.
You know, you're going to get two sets. I love the fact that Hasegawa also does this. They do this thing where the seats are on a sprue and you get 2 of them, and the wheels are on their own tiny little sprue and you get 2 of those. Like, just mold it all together. It would be more efficient, I guess. But this will be chrome. This is the chrome tree over here in the corner. And then, I mean, it's nice and modern. It's got separate door cards for the platform interior and the back seat separate, so that makes me think there's a rally car in here somewhere. And there's a gajillion suspension components, and the bottom of the engine over here, so you're not getting it stuck to the bottom of the chassis pan, which is a nice touch, because trying to paint around that over here is just a hot mess.
No fun.
Disaster. Yeah. I had a closer picture. You guys can there it is. You guys can discuss while I flip here. Any stark interests from the peanut gallery on this one?
It's not a bad car. I just can't see building it. I get too much, I guess.
It looks like a really nice kit of a car I don't want to build.
You know, it kind of reminds me of like a Granada. I don't know why. Maybe it's I don't know.
It's definitely it's full on 80s, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. I love the front. I love this front grille. This front grille is stellar. You think these are lights, but they're just plastic grill pieces. Like, it's just the design that Nissan went with this car. I mean, and chances are we'll never get the left-hand drive parts for it unless they do a rally car, which then, you know, how good is the dashboard really going to be, because it's not going to be a civilian one. But, you know, they sold these here. This was a 200 SX or something like that in the United States. It was a Datsun.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. So it's a small car then.
Yeah, I mean, you're I was gonna say I don't have one handy.
I don't
here,
know
but
what the wheelbase would be. I don't. That doesn't mean anything. But like, what would you compare that to size wise? Like a size of a Pinto?
Yeah,
So-
Yeah.
Sylvia would have been like the size of a Mustang too.
Okay.
yeah,
It would
yeah.
have been
Probably
a,
a competitor for that.
yeah, I'd say it's not a subcompact, but it's a compact, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, I guess without seeing any reference, that long hood kind of makes it look like a mid-size, but now that you mention it, it probably was a small car.
See if I can get a picture of a real 1979 Nissan Sylvia. Come on, Google, don't let me down here. I get now. A lot of people say they should make the hatchback version of it. I'm not going to really argue with that. I'm trying to find if I could find a picture of it like beside something or around people or something like that to give it,
Right. Sense
a
of
size,
scale.
a sense of scale. Let's see if I can make this a
Those
big.
mirrors, though, holy smokes. That's
Yeah,
big honking,
they really
big
are
honking
something.
mirrors.
This one is, where is this car at? It says it's, it has to be shipped from Japan. I thought that was in the United States for a second. I was going to say, oh, look at how god awful this thing is, but never mind.
Yeah, Japanese cars from that era are just so generic. It's just like it doesn't. It's sort of a lack of style.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a whole lot in body lines. You can follow the one body line all the way from the front all the way to the back.
Yeah, and nothing really like a signature element that would say, "Oh, that's a Nissan." I mean, I don't know. I suppose if you know these cars well, maybe you have appreciation for them. But for me,
Yeah.
I very
Nah, I'm not gonna
lacking in style.
I'm not gonna hold us up all night on that. So let's see what else we have here. We have over at the Aoshima bin of goodies, the one kit that I know Mr. Tester and I am also waiting on this with bated breath because this is a car that I've wanted to build since I was a kid, because I don't give a crap about the movie car, but I've always wanted an actual DeLorean.
Yes.
The factory stock DeLorean. This will be it should be an August release, and it should actually be on time because a lot of this is going to be shared, obviously, with the Back to the Future kit, and that just got released. So, that tooling is done. We just need to put a rear hatch on it, basically. So
they're just waiting on the sales of the Back to the Future card to justify putting this one out. It's probably already in boxes.
Is this all new, or is this retooling of the Back to the Future?
No, it's I think they made both at the same time.
Yeah, I would say that there's a new Back to the Future kit they just did, so it's brand new tooling, and this is variant B of said tooling. If you sat down with the parts trees, pretty much this. Let me get my cursor on the right. This parts tree right here in the middle is going to be the one that's exclusive to this kit because it's got the factory engine in it and the factory rear deck in it, and they're gonna have to make the rear deck glass because there's not the Mr. Fusion sitting in the back of it that was in the movie car. But a lot of this stuff is being shared with the regular movie car, because if you look at the movie car, and James, did you actually order one of these?
I did not.
So,
I want to, but I just can't part with the $46 right now that they want for it.
Yeah, so the movie car, everything is separate on it. They took all the wiring off the outside. All the interior pieces are separate. So a lot of these pieces, can be used for either or. And how much of this is new beyond this, for just the street car, I don't know. I know that a lot of people are going to gripe a bitch about the fact that this engine is in this, margarine tub. But
right.
Like I've told everybody who's complained about it, it's an economy of scale kind of thing. You'd have to tool up a whole new chassis to put the engine in to have it, be in the back of the car. So the most expedient thing is to make there's the top of an engine in a tray thing, and it's not my It's not what I would have done, not what I like to have seen done. It's, still $35 instead of 45 because there's no movie licensing involved. But is it ideal in 2024? No. Am I going to complain that I'm going to get a real actual DeLorean kit that I don't have to shave all the parts off of? Or, in the case of the new kit, scratch build a rear deck hatch? Also no. So I accept.
Yeah, I will buy the stock version. I'm still on the fence about the Back to the Future. I love Back to the Future. I've seen them a million times, but I don't know. Will I build it? Man, maybe not. I've had the other Back to the Future kits for 15 years and I've never touched them. So
Now,
but yeah,
how would you guys go about doing the brushed stainless look?
I think I would just use a metalizer.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe sand it real good before you paint it.
Yeah, this is one time when you scuff up the body, you don't want to make sure that you sand it smooth. You want to give it a little texture.
For me, I think this would be the most challenging part of this build is just to figure out how to get a fairly realistic looking scale brushed look.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to polish this car. That's for sure.
The first one of these you see at a car show is going to be 2K'd, and it's going to be like chrome. and you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to be that person. And then somebody's gonna say something to that person, and then you're gonna hear from across the room, I build models for myself, not your approval. And it's like true, but I don't were any of these ever painted? I don't think they were. I think they were all stainless.
Yeah, actually there were a few painted ones.
Okay, so you can get out of it then.
Yeah. Black is it? I know one was black.
Yeah, I think I've seen that
and
one.
Gold, like almost gold film almost.
Yeah. I didn't know if that was something that had been wrapped in modern days so they could, still have their stainless underneath of it, or but that could always be your excuse, right? Paint it, clear coat it, have a good time with it, and anybody says it's wrong, be like, nah, man, it's wrapped.
But yeah,
Tim's Custom says we should just do a LS swap. Then you can paint it any color you want.
Oh, okay. So Spencer says they did 5 gold ones for MasterCard. That was back in the day of the gold MasterCard. Yeah, I could see that.
You could. It's a model kit. You could do anything you want to with it. I mean,
right.
I don't even think. Well, maybe DeLoreans have come up in value, but there's a point in time even when these were, there were only 97 of them built or whatever it was out of the 100 body shells they had. Like even for the longest time, it wasn't a collectible car, even when it was a collectible car.
Right.
So,
I just noticed it's got opening going doors. That's cool.
Yeah,
yes,
I hope those fit better than the Pagani ones did. But...
yeah, I think that they took a lot of flack for that Pagani Huayra kit. That nothing really worked well. I think that they probably stepped up with this one. I hope.
The Pagani Huayra was such a weird thing because it was like 95% of the way done, and the guy that was their head of international sales left, and he didn't take the designer with him, but the designer ended up leaving shortly thereafter. And when those two left, because the international guy was the one that was doing all these deals with Lamborghini and Bengani and all these other companies in Europe, like they just fell on their face. And that Pagani didn't come out for probably 2 or 3 years after it was supposed to, and they had to hire a third party in to finish the CAD work, and whatever that person did to it made it not function.
Not fittable.
No. I saw somebody the other day say something about the Pagani Zonda and the way the doors don't fit open on those. I'm like, well, those aren't supposed to. Those, you wait till the last minute to glue them on. They're literally the last thing you're supposed to assemble with the kit. Whether or not that's the kit instructions or it has to be done that way, I don't know. But like those doors aren't supposed to open. So yes, they would be pretty mediocre opening doors, given the fact that they're not hinged and they're not designed to work that way. But you do you, boo. I'm not gonna get in between you and your dreams. So also over at the, let's see, there we go, the Aoshima desk. These are just prototypes still, which is mildly disappointing because these were shown like All Japan last year. They're doing two. One will be option wheels, which is what this is. 1996 180SX, and they're Type Z, I believe, is the trim level. And Nissan and everything's a Type something or another, so I don't necessarily think that counts for anything. Both of these kits will have opening headlights, so that's the and again, in Japanese parlance, a gimmick is a feature to a model kit. So the two gimmicks to this kit are the headlights are posable up or down, and the ride height is either stock or slammed. So this has got the lowered ride height on it. I think it's an interesting choice that the option wheels are R33 GTR V-Spec wheels, because that's a really expensive set of rims to throw on what is basically an economy car. But I guess that's what we're doing here.
So I wonder if they're just going to include two kinds of spindles, like regular and lowered, or do you think it's going to be like the Liberty Walk cars where it's, like on a hinge?
I don't know. We haven't seen any pieces to this. It's just been these rapid. Well, this one's more of a tooling prototype. The other one was like a rapid prototype. And this is as close as we're getting to. There's no release date on these. I'm assuming like All Japan in October we'll see the parts, and it'll be like a Christmas into 2025 kit, I'm guessing. But
it's an interesting car. I know that the tuner crowd loves those, so I think it'll do all right.
Yeah, I like this kit. Yeah, this is now you're getting into the era of Japanese cars I really like, which is the 90s and 2000s, and this was definitely one of my favorites. I would build this.
And then let me show you real quick. Keep forgetting, double clicking doesn't do any good. This is the more sedate factory stock version with the stock rims. But again, both of them are going to they're going to be identical. This is something that Aoshima has done a gajillion times with a bunch of these modern JDM kits, where there's a stock version and there's option wheel or custom wheel. It's released at the exact same time with it. You pick which one you want depending on what wheel set you want. And let's face it, a lot of the JDM people are like, not going to use any of those wheels. I'm going to 3D print wheels or get the Aoshima boxes out and see what I got in TE37s laying around or whatever. But it's cool. I'm assuming it'll be a better kit than the Fujimi 180SX. Almost anything's better than a Fujimi kit most of the time. But yeah, we'll see. I guess. I don't know. It's one of those kits that exists, and it like, will this be substantially better than what already exists? Because if it's not, then it's like are we just wasting time and money? Yeah. Like I plan to buy one based on what I see, but it has to really be something that's going to wow me. And the Fujimi kit's pretty mediocre. It's like 60 pieces, and it's like the upside down bathtub, if you want to call it that, window where the one piece window that goes the whole way around and stuff like that. It's
right. This
will probably be better, but I know. I'm the one that always says they need to make new kits of old things, and that the Fujimi kit's almost as old as the real car is. So this will be 30 years more modern tooling. So I mean,
yeah, at least it'll be easier to clean up.
Yeah, I was to say now does this Aoshima? Obviously, they're not making this to make two kits. They're making this to make a plethora of kits. Do they end up doing a SIL 80 with it? With a Sylvia front end attached to a 180SX back?
Right.
I don't know.
They'll probably put a body kit on it. And,
I'm sure there's be a couple
drift
of
wheels and
couple of tuner versions of it. But I'm interested. You have my attention. You don't necessarily have my money, but you have my attention. Let's see, what else did we get here? I think there's one other Aoshima. I know. It's like I'm sitting here talking like I haven't seen these pictures before. Guys, I don't know. What else can we find here?
I don't know. What could it be?
All right. So next up on the Aoshima train here is the new, and this is really kind of, I'm hoping I'm not seeing all the sprues kind of moment in time. So this is the new GR86 kit that again Aoshima is doing, and this is the same principle. in action. The white car is going to be the factory stock car. The red car is going to be the optional wheel car, and it's got a set of 18-inch Advan GTs on it. One of the people that James and I know that out in Arizona that does videos did a Shizuka video, again with air quotes, and he said it was the wrong set of wheels, and then the comments devolved into an argument about what set of wheels it was, which is really great because there's like literature that says 18-inch Advan GTs. If you bothered to translate this background back here to say that it has 18-inch Advan GTs on it, but let's argue about the parts, shall we? The thing that, again, to me is disappointing in looking at this was the fact that as I move around here, I see, oh, well, okay, here's the JDM dashboard and with the JDM center console, and there's no left-hand drive.
Okay.
And I don't understand the point of this kit at this point, redundancy department, because to me, it made this already.
Yeah, and they sold 1 million of them already.
I might point out to you, there's 19-inch Advan Racing GT right there on that. You don't even need to translate it because Advan is English. It doesn't have a Japanese word for it. But yeah, this doesn't bother me because this is kind of sort of the way the original. Well, I mean, it does bother me because who wants to mess this flipping exhaust off? But there is no engine showing on this car in real life. It's got a big plastic under tray. Right. And I think somewhere in this, maybe not, I don't see it necessarily, but there'll be a transmission top to this because that's the way the original one was. Again, maybe not all the screws are here because there's only like the top of the engine, the twin fans, and this is the bottom of the the suspension. This is the rear cradle, and there's 2 sets of brakes here, which will be the because this will also be a standard ride height and a low down ride height, as they like to call it, as
just like they did the GT86 way back when.
Right. So maybe not all the parts are here. Maybe left-hand drive will be a thing, but as it stands, it's not here. And as it stands, the rest of the engine is also missing. So maybe this is just an economy of space. We couldn't put it all out here, but there's nothing the thing is there's no literature saying, with left-hand drive. So that makes me nervous. I canceled my order on this because I already have a Tamiya one. I don't need an Aoshima one without, Toyota, our Toyota parts to it. So
right. Well, and Tamiya did the GR86 and the BRZ, so that's their 2 kits. They probably won't do any more versions. What do you think?
I'm just hoping that because like the facelifted version, the 86, it has left-hand drive in it. It doesn't say anything about it, but it does because that kit was literally just new front fascia on the 2012 kit, and the 2012 kit had so many options in it. Not only was it JDM, but it also had like a European specific Toyota 86 GT in it, and it had a Scion FRS in it.
Oh, you're talking about the Oshima kit, right?
Yeah, right. But the Tamiya kit, yeah, they did the BRZ, they did the 86 GR86 for it in the new car. So the thing that would differentiate the Aoshima away would be again that inclusion of left-hand drive parts and North American plates and decals and badging specific to us. And if it's not there, I don't know what the point is.
Right. Other than to jump on the bandwagon,
I guess. And here's the other reason why they're doing it. And because James and I talked about this because he had to immediately bust out the actual comic strip. They're going to be doing a branded set of these Toyota 86s for the MF Ghost manga, which is fine, whatever. But based on the actual manga, the other cars that are in the manga are way more interesting to me than this car is.
For sure. For sure. I watched this manga on TV. There was an animated version, and the why can't I say the word manga cartoon book? But in the videos, it's a GT86. It's not a GR86. And they had some cool cars like the Alpine Renault A110. They had Porsche Cayman. They had Lamborghini Huracan. There was a lot of cool cars in that manga that they could have done. So yeah, I think they're just reusing the old tool, to try and get on the bandwagon of selling more kits.
Yeah, it is very reminiscent of course, Initial D, where it's a very boring pedestrian 86, and then look, it's got a black hood over here with the Advan GT wheels, or maybe these are TE37s. This one doesn't actually say, but I guess this one will be coming later because there's no kit to this, but this one obviously has a display on it, and this will be real popular in Japan and people who are fans of the show and the movie and the books and all that stuff. So
yeah,
it's a smart investment. I mean, they don't really have an investment in any other of the manga series out there other than Initial D. So
right.
I mean, this was number one. This one's number three. I don't know what number two is. I'm assuming it's not another 86. So maybe
Oh,
maybe they'll expand the line. I mean, like you said, there's a Hurricane, and they've got a Hurricane, so they could easily do that with a set of decals, maybe.
I think maybe for next episode I'll find the car list of all the cars in that series. Some interesting cars.
Something else that's coming out of Aoshima, and we'll cover this as just, guys, this is a June release, haha, because I don't feel like taking a separate stab at this. So the new line called the Snap Car, and this is going to be 1/24 scale compared to the Snap Kit, which is 1/32 scale. The first release on this is going to be a 71 Nissan GTR. Yeah, I mean, the Tamiya kit exists still. As far as I know, that factory didn't burn down. But obviously, from a perspective of introducing a modeler into building or stepping up from 1/32 into 1/24 scale, hey, it's a hugely popular car. They had a real one, a 1-to-1 on display to advertise specifically these kits. So obviously they're figuring they're going to sell a few, and they probably will. I mean, it's if you want to interest your kids in building cars, this is in every Gran Turismo. This is in probably, I don't know if it's in Forza or not. I have to be, I would assume, but kids will recognize this car even though it's older than I am.
And being a new tool, I bet it's nicely polished plastic. It'll probably build really nice.
I would imagine. It's also going to come in white, ka-cha, with that pose, and the the silver that everyone would recognize it being in.
Right.
It's a very, very, very basic chassis. Obviously, you see here, everything's going to be molded to it. There's metal axles, and basically the wheels and the wheel backs are the only part of the chassis there is. I do like the fact that they did mold the rear skirting or the rear fender separately, so you don't have to paint it. It is a snap tight kit. I wouldn't, you obviously could glue those on if you're building it as an adult. It's got chrome parts, which is something that a lot of snap kits don't actually include. It's got separate rear tail lights, separate headlights. Like there's thought put into this, so I can appreciate that.
And the part count is pretty good, I would say. You're up into the 30, 40 parts there, huh?
Yeah, 17 parts on this chrome tree. This is black. I can't see it, but it's probably, I don't know, 15 or so. So you're at 45. It's probably 60. Okay. All things included. So yeah. I don't think I'm gonna get one because I already have obviously Tamiya ones, but for again, you're dragging your kids into the hobby, or you want a weekend slump buster or something like that, this will be good for that.
Yeah. My only gripe with that kit is it's molded in red.
Well, I said there's a white one, there's a silver one, so
yeah. Then I guess it's fine. And I don't realize it. It's probably aimed at a youth market, kind of easy build. They probably won't even get painted. But I cringe every time I see anything molded in red. I'm like, if I wanted to paint that, it'd be a nightmare.
And it's probably going to be cheap, really cheap, like probably like $15 cheap.
Also, part of that series is going to be the current version
Jimny.
of the Suzuki Jimny. This might be a tad bit redundant given the fact that Fujimi has done this, and theirs is also a snap-tight kit. But
I bet they won't be $45.
No, I bet they won't. Oops, I'm trying to hit my next arrow on here like I'm in that screen. So this is rapid prototyping. Rapid prototyping at its finest. Check out these layer lines. You thought your layer lines were bad. Look at this thing. It looks like it's made out of wood. But I would have thought it would have been. I mean, I know it's Japan, so it's home market stuff like that. There's a version of this that comes with like fender flares and slightly wider wheels, and as James will know, that makes it not a K car because it's too wide at that point. So it's only sold out of Japan to overseas Asian markets. But I'd like to see that version of it because these cars are very pedestrian looking, because these are way over accented arches. Like this body line is like way more creased than the Fujimi kit is. I don't know if that's just a factor of this printing process, or because I looked at it and they're both the same spec. They're both K spec. They're not. This is not the overseas one, but I wish somebody would do the overseas one, because the overseas one actually looks kind of cool. It's like a little itty bitty Bronco or something like that, because it's got flares and a bigger set of wheels and a bigger engine and all the rest of that.
Right. I'll buy one. Especially, I love the Ks. You know, that's me. But I have one of the Fujimi kits, and it's molded in green, and I really kind of wanted the yellow one, but I just can't bring myself to spend another $40 for a yellow one, for a white one to paint yellow.
I told him to wait. They were going to do one in white. He didn't wait. So the third kit, there's three of these starting the lineup out, and I don't know when either one of these are going to be released. Is a 2022 GTR Nismo. So we're going to take the GTR finally out of the last GTR in glue they did was technically a 2018, but you have to get the Liberty Walk kit and then not Liberty Walk it to get the front end and rear end parts. Like they included the parts in those kits. They never made a factory stock kit out of it for whatever reason. So really, their version of the I'm looking at my kits behind the camera here. Their version's really a 2016. So this will update it to more or less what it is right now, and it's a Nismo. So
I'm down for that.
Yeah, I am too. I really don't care. I want to. I'll paint it, Cataranga orange or whatever the color is, and we'll move on from there. But all
Sean,
of these.
What do you think of the GTR, Sean?
That's pretty cool. I would build one of those.
Let's say this one and the Jimny are all going to be released in 3 colors. So if you see a color you don't like, don't freak out. There's other options.
Cool.
Let me see if I can pull up, because that's, like I said, it's a new release coming this month. The GTR, if we can get this page to load. Is anybody ordering these? Probably not. At the old Hobby Links of Japan, the GTRs are going to be $15.
How could you not buy it?
Well, easy. It's molded in red, James.
Oh yeah, okay.
But yeah, so they're reading the literature here, since I'm on this site here, is for everyone who wants to try car modeling. So everybody who wants to try car modeling, all go buy your kits out of Japan, try some car modeling. There are no other alternatives out there. Only that.
You know what we should do? We should do a group build.
Oh God, can't we?
Start a worldwide group build of that GTR.
All right, so next up, back over at the Hasegawa-san here, is this 92 CV, I think it is. Yep, it is. So Toyota 92 CV. This is a Group C car prototype. Very sleek, very fast. Mini goes. Basically, the chassis, if you want to call what's in here an interior, I mean, it's very obviously Spartan race car thing. Are all going to carry over from the existing New Tool Hasegawa 91. You're getting a new body and the accoutrement of the new body, so new windows, new headlights, bits, pieces, and all this stuff. So this will be, if I can see how far back is it, I don't want to hit the back arrow and break the internet again. Oh, it's too far back. So this will be the 1992. Yeah, because obviously the CV, the number before the CV is the year, James. Grr. The 92 Le Mans car. Now where did that picture go? Why did it not show up here? Oh, because it's broken and loading. Thanks. Awesome. That's a computer error on my part, folks. That's not a for once the streaming thing. I don't know what's going on with my photo share. It's going crazy.
Those are neat looking cars. Don't know that I would ever build it, but I appreciate the shape and complexity of the model itself.
And we're just watching it loaded. That's why I started sharing the screen, and now it's going to sit here and hey, now I've got a circle of doom on our program too. So it's frozen on my end.
I would buy one of those. I would buy one of those kits and take the wheels and put them on something like a '69 Roadrunner or something. Wheels are really cool.
Except for the center locking thing, right?
Well, that's even more cool that way.
All right. One last shot to not break the whole of the internet. Oh, why? Why is it not showing? That's weird. And let's say I've played too much World of Warcraft today. I've run my computer out of RAM. Huh, that's weird. No, we wait here idly while. So I assume that means I won't be able to share anything else. That's going to be fun. Let's try something. Let's try a different picture. See if that works. Because I load on my end, and then I go into the program, and it doesn't load on your guys' end. Let me see if I do a share.
I'm going to peruse the comments while you do that.
Yes, please. Save us, Mr. Tester. You're the only hope.
All right, Princess. Oh, let's go back all the way to the beginning. Anybody? We have a lot of people viewing. We're still at 34 people, which is pretty damn good, I think. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. We're really just three friends having fun here, and you guys are along for the ride. And hey, look at that!
All right, so yeah, all right. That's not the world's greatest thing. It's not the world's worst. It's the Chernobyl effect. It's not great. It's not terrible. So anyway, Sard Kits Toyota 92 Le Mans. So this is what the car looks like. Yeah, that was a lot of effort to go through just to show you a picture, but it's at least a nice, fun, bright car, I guess.
What exactly is Sard Kits?
Sard would be team. This is Toyota Team Sard, and that's just what their name is. Kits, I don't know what the hell they make, but they're the sponsor of the car. And then Toyota 92. It's Hasegawa. We got to fill this whole header bar up with words and letters.
I'm surprised they still have some room left at the top.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why this doesn't say like 9th overall, 3rd place in class over here, crammed into the corner, because that would be where this finished. This was 3rd place in class, but yeah, I'll grab one because I'm a sucker for New Tool Hasegawa. This is like 100. I think this is 157 pieces or something ridiculous like that. Within still being a curbside, like where'd all those pieces go to? I don't know, but they're like ragu. They're in there. So yeah, there's that. Let me try. Let me dare the fates of StreamYard and try to share this and see if it goes anywhere. Because we can,
John,
not.
Mr. Brolin is looking forward to that Toyota.
Hey, that's shared. All right, so it must just be the picture of that that the internet doesn't like. So this is over at the new BMAX counter. I think this is BMAX branded kit this time around. 1996 British Touring Car Championship. Back here in the back here, Brands Hatch 1996 winner. So Brands Hatch being a raceway, 96 being the season, FINA being the this is Benghazi Motorsports was the team name, and every single one of their cars for years had this checkerboard that went over the car, and so that's sort of their shtick of their coloring, I guess, if you want to call it that. There is, of course, PE coming for it with the discs. One of the biggest problems with this car is that it runs these aero discs on the back wheels, and so that was something that was not available by any other source for some reason. This is kind of an interesting thing because you'd say, oh, it's the Hasegawa kit, but it's not. And to do this brand new is kind of odd. I'm assuming we're gonna have a bunch of these because you're obviously not gonna tool up a whole new kit of something that technically already exists.
The last time FINA came out with a livery was on a 318, wasn't it, by Hasegawa?
Yeah, there are two different 318 liveries. Yeah.
Okay. I missed out on both of those, and now they're unobtainium. Stupid priced. I mean,
yeah, 96 would have given you a different front. I'm moving it on StreamYard and my arrows off. It would give you a new front bumper lip spoiler. It would give you different side skirts, and then this spoiler out back here is completely different because if you have a 318 kit from Hasegawa, there's no spoiler in that because in 1994 they didn't run spoilers on these cars. They started throwing spoilers on them after they put a little more juice under the hood so that you have enough downforce this thing didn't wind up all over God's green earth. But I would, if they could do a 95, a 96, a 97, 98 car that would plug like the last big gap of my I want to build all the winners of Macau's thing. Me personally, guys, if you could just do it for me, that would be awesome. This is a great start. This will cover at least 96, but
Frankie will come up with 100 decals to go with it, and James will have more.
I mean, it also ran in JTCC. It ran in European touring, or if not European touring, it ran in the was it STW, which was the replacement to DTM in the years that DTM didn't run. So I mean, there's a lot of fodder for these. But you have to be like, hey, I like 1990s race cars.
There's at least one of those because I saw one of those run when they had the North American Touring Car Championship in I don't know what year that was. It would have been 2000s or so. Because I built the Dodge Stratus, and I'd seen that car run at Mid Ohio, and actually saw the North American Touring Car Championship run it there. And one of the cars was a 320i that had been brought over from Europe or Japan or somewhere. It was in that racing series. So there's been at least one that ran in the United States. I really dig those 90s touring cars. I think those are cool. I was going to ask, is that the first 320i sedan that's been tooled up, or somebody else?
Of the E36 generation, yeah, it would be the first one.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't remember seeing a four-door before.
Yeah, Hasegawa did a street 320i, but that was because they didn't have to put the spoiler or ground effects on it because it was just the 318 kit with a 320i set of decals. But as far as the race cars go, yeah, and I don't understand why Hasegawa didn't do that. I mean, it's 5 pieces depending on how many pieces you make the spoiler. It's a bumper, it's 2 side skirts, and a spoiler. Wash, rinse, repeat, and you could make cars for 4 years. They literally have made almost every 1994 Japanese touring car BMW, including the ones from like small teams that only ran like 2 races. But we're not going to spend $5,000 to put a new bumper on this and expand it. We're just going to sit here and plug away at part-time race teams because this is the tool we have, and that's going to be all we're going to do.
Right.
So this is the new, much awaited, never to be released Porsche 911 RSR GT GTLM, depending on what racing series it would have been in. Pink Pig livery here. This was class winner for 2018, 24 Hours of Le Mans. Oh, this kit was promised 3.5 years ago at this point. So.
I know it's been a while.
Frankie is currently working on decals for this right now. So that means it has to be close because he wouldn't be spending the time and the money and the effort on making decals for something that wasn't coming out. It was supposedly coming out in the end of summer, but then they've said that for the last 3.5 years. This is obviously not the whole kit here. This is an economy of scale thing. There's more to this than part of an interior and array of chassis parts. He said to me, I'm making this and this and this of the pre-facelifted version. So I guess we're gonna see more 911 RSRs, which would be great. I mean, the car doesn't exist anymore because GTLM and GTE doesn't exist as a racing class anymore. But I mean, there's a 2018, so 2018 to 2022. There's a series of Porsches they could do. I don't know how much they want to invest into this because there's a lot of aero changes over the years, and that would require side, new spoilers, new front and rear fascias, new side skirts in some cases. So it'll all depend on how this kit's, tooled up as to how easy that would be. And, yay, P in the background. Well, everything has to have P at BMAX.
James, you know what I like. Was there any liveries that I'd be interested in? Or are they all kind of...
This year in 2018, all of the Porsche Works cars, the Pro Team cars, were throwback cars to earlier Porsches. So this Pink Pig is a 917K from the 1970 or 71 Le Mans. The other car is a Rothmans throwback. It doesn't say Rothmans on it, but it's those colors and that scripting, obviously, to all the Porsche Rothman cars that ran in the 1980s. Here in the United States, there was a Coca-Cola sponsored one, which was a throwback to like Bob Wickel or however you pronounce his name, from the 935s that ran, and I think there's a 956 or a 962C that he ran with Coke liveries. There's what was it called? The hippie cars, where it's all like an art car.
Oh, the art cars. That would be kind of neat.
Let me pull this up on a different website. We're just thanks to everybody who's joining in to have us just sit here and talk about stuff we're interested in. Whether I have a great graphic sitting somewhere where it's like, I'm not a gatekeeper. I will force you to be interested in the things that I'm interested in. I don't know you what to be interested in. Let me see here. So stop sharing that and then start sharing this other thing, maybe this. So over here, spot model. So there's this set here for the Coke car. So this was a 911 that ran 2019 Le Mans. And then you would have also, I don't know if it's going to be in here or not. Also, hey, yeah, this art car, the Brumos throwback.
Not really what I had in mind.
So
I'm
it's 12 hours.
With my liveries, they have to be bright and in your face.
12 hours of Sebring throwback, and then the throwback to the Petit Le Mans, the art cars. So this is like I say. I'm trying to think what this 2018 Petit Le Mans Road Atlanta. I'm trying to think what this harkens back to. And it doesn't have the information for it, but this was, I think, a 956. It might have been a 917. But yeah, those are. And then Frankie's one stuff, but there's no pictures of that laying around.
Yeah, maybe I'll pass.
Oh, you need these things. And while we're on race cars that he's not going to buy, but he really secretly needs. We go with the M6.
Yes. I love the tooth.
Yeah, that
So,
car's
yeah.
pretty cool looking. I would add one of those to my collection.
I would like to carbon fiber it. Just carbon fiber wrap.
Well, give what's his face and Scale Motorsports enough time, they'll probably come out with one.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
And let's see,
It's a
this
cool
will
car.
dump us
I'm
over
digging that one.
to the sprue shots here. So yeah, I mean, if you have a new kit, you sort of know what to expect here. I don't. Again, economy of scale. Well, not all the parts here because there's no chassis tray to it, but yeah, it's the whole thing. Gives you the idea what you're getting. I am, 100% all for new GT3. So I've if they say the end of the year, I say, haha, believe when I see it. But yeah, if we can get a nice new GT3 BMW, I'm all for it because this is going to be the 2022 DTM Championship car. They started running the M6 in 2021, obviously still running right now, so this will give them, 4 or 5 years of cars to do because it'll run for another 2 years after this. So that's an evergreen tooling for the next several years for those folks.
Right.
And
Right.
I think
What we need?
think
Do we have like a way to vote? Like, we do a thumbs up or thumbs down, like on this platform, or like vote with stars or 3, whatever.
I say, are you trying to be Caesar over there? We're just gonna no.
Well, I would give that a thumbs up, but I'm like, it'd be cool if I don't know if there was a way we could all just like check a box or something to
No.
signify our approval or disapproval of kits.
Let's see what there is.
How's that?
Yeah, how'd you do that?
It's in Google. We could do rain clouds. All right. Enough fun in that.
I would say we're not going to have rain clouds because I know that Mr. Metal Experiment will buy several sheets of this.
Yes.
This is the new Tamiya ultra thin aluminum sticker. These are going to be 3.5 they're basically 3x5 cards. You get 2 per package for a whole whopping $5.52, and that's the street price. So it'll probably be cheaper than that. There's a couple videos of it being applied on an airplane wing, and it looks like bare metal foil as far as the luster. This picture makes it look like it's some sort of dull crap, but if you've got a sheet of a bare metal foil out, and you put it in a dark room and took it at a weird angle, it would be matte too. So,
Yeah.
I know that supposedly bare metal foil is fixed now, allegedly, where it doesn't have the adhesive problems that it did during COVID. So maybe this is redundant, unneeded product. Although they're getting bare metal foil in Japan is impossible. So obviously this is a home market piece in the first place. But yeah, I'll buy a pack just to try it.
I will too. I don't do a lot of muscle cars these days, but if I did, then I would go with Big T.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I'd like to compare this to bare metal foil and give it a try and see if it's any different or better.
I'll definitely do a video.
You know what the price is of this, or what the retail price will be on this?
Like I said, it's 780 yen, which translates to $5.52 with the exchange rate, and that's the shelf price. So, like, it's probably going to be $4 at Hobby Link Japan. Here in the United States, there's no price on it, but it would probably be $9-10. And 3.5x5s is what, 6x10. It's not quite the same size as a BMF sheet, but it's pretty close. It's within a couple inches in terms of length and width. So,
yeah, I'd probably pick up one just to try, see how it compares.
Well,
I end up using a lot of bare metal foil. So,
didn't Ammo come out with a bare metal foil substitute that was on the thick side or something, if I remember right?
yeah, it's a lot closer to that Hasegawa mirror foil where it was
so
stretchy,
it's a film.
stretchy mylar type of thing.
Right.
And then I think the last thing I have here, thank God, because this is taking forever. is going to be the other big T product that we all want.
Yes.
The Street Custom in orange and Midnight Wang and blue there.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Looks good.
Based on the display from Tamiya, that's TS50 as far as the blue. So, because I thought for a second they were making a specific blue for this because they had like a can of paint and 3 bottles of LP lacquer beside it, and it was TS50 and then like black. It was like semi-gloss black, flat aluminum, and you know, they call it chrome silver, but there's no chrome to that. There's silver whatsoever with the LP11. I was like, oh, okay, so apparently all you need to build this car is black, 2 shades of silver, and a can of blue spray paint. Rock on.
So it's a Subaru Blue, right? TS50.
Yeah, TS50. Yeah, it was originally done for the WRXs.
Okay. Yeah, that's a gorgeous model.
That's the same. I'm guessing that's about that shade of blue. So yeah, I do appreciate the fact that the window louvers or the defrosters are engraved into the window. It's a decal on the Hasegawa kits, and it looks fine when it's done, but it just it is what it is. And this one back here is being done as a 240SX or as 240Z rather. In obviously, again, referencing the comic, it's the Wang and Midnight car. This one back here is being done as a Datsun. So this is the US spec. So it's got the little bumperettes on it.
And, didn't even recognize that. Yeah, you're right.
Say it's left-hand drive.
And no mirrors on the fenders, right?
Yeah, no mirrors on the fender, just one mirror on the driver's side. So yeah, I mean, I know that a lot of people are still griping about the fact that this front air dam is molded to the bumper.
Oh, it is. Huh.
Yeah.
I don't care because if I really wanted to build a stock 240Z, I could get the Hasegawa kit. I want to build this for what it is, which is this custom day 2 looking car, and I'm fine with the air dam for that. So,
yep,
your mileage may vary on again how much you care.
Yeah, poor Zoom On resin that just made the conversion kit to make the ZG into that car.
Yeah, I mean, it's not coming out till August. They'll sell enough to people who don't know, I'm assuming. Right. And then here's your parts tree layout. So we looked at this the other day, 3-4 episodes ago, but obviously you get your left-hand drive parts up here to make the Datsun. You have trim parts in the new carburetors for the engine down here. You've got these split Watanabes, which I love because you can paint these chrome and paint this whatever the bleep color you want it to be, and you don't have to mask anything off. You get a new exhaust system here. I'm assuming this is probably California emissions exhaust. Well, I mean, there's already an exhaust to the ZG. You wouldn't need to duplicate that for the for JDM, and then obviously the fender flares are separate. And there you can see that's that front lip spoiler is molded to that.
Are those trumpets for the intakes?
Oh, hang on, we changed
metal pieces there.
So yes, you have metal trumpets for the intakes. This is a Tamiya shtick with these street customs. All of them. The original GTR. The R32 does it because there's no trumpets for it. But the first gen GTR has metal inlets as well. And so you're getting a new set of bumper lights, your glass. I don't know why the glass has to be all new necessarily. You think that would just carry over. You have the new chrome parts. Of course, this is going to have the bumperettes for the the Datsun thing. You've got your little metal surrounds here for the taillights and some trim on the interior pieces.
Beautiful.
And
are those decals?
No, they're the peel and stick film ones. The metal transfer ones that to me always did. There are Datsun things there. It's all pixelated out, but then you have the decal sheet, which has Fairlead on this side and Datsun on this side, and just a bunch of engine detail in the middle.
So those
go ahead.
I don't know Japanese kits as well. So those are actually, you said peel and stick? The little chrome things.
Yeah, sort of rub them in place. There's a top carrier film and a bottom carrier film. So you peel the bottom one off and you leave it on the top carrier film. You cut it out and then place it and then rub it with a whatever, like a
Okay.
Q-tip or a toothpick or something, and then you peel off the top and it leaves the nice metallic, perfect script or whatever there.
So like a dry transfer. That
Yeah.
sounds good for me.
Yeah.
I wonder why they don't put those like in, American kits. It seems like it'd be a great idea.
Too expensive, probably.
It would be impossible for American builders to utilize that technique. And I know everybody in the comments just said, "What the hell did he just say?" But legitimately today, Salvina's JR put out a picture on their Facebook page that was the carbon fiber for the upcoming Indy cars. And there was a back and forth about whether the decals would get here in time, because the Indy cars are being released like this week, right before the race. Now, whether you'll be able to buy one all depends on where you're at, compared to California from where they're shipping them from. But they're going to include the carbon fiber in the kit, so you don't have to go out and buy it separately. Huzzah! And one person immediately said, "How do I get a refund on my purchase? That's more kit than I can build." And I said, "You haven't even seen it. Like, you literally have not even seen it. How do you know you can build it or not? And what does the carbon fiber decal sheet have anything to do with building the model? You just paint it black. Like, you don't have to use those decals. But for folks, like me, that are carbon fiber addicts, that makes me want to buy one a little bit more, because that's something I don't have to try to search down and get later." But American modelers nope, too many decals, can't build that. My skills don't exist. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't even understand what that means.
I'm gonna do a little digging into those chrome emblems. That thing's pretty cool.
There was a company years ago, Sean, that made those sort of things for Charger, 69 Charger, 69 Dart, something else too. And I have them because they were wonderful, and they only came out for like 1 year. And I think I bought them in Toledo. That's how long ago they were.
I wonder if they have a shelf life. I know because we used to get dry transfers done years ago. There was a local service that would actually make them for us, but they didn't last long. Like maybe I could get about 4 or 5 weeks out of them before they would lose their stickiness.
Oh, yeah. So you almost have to glue them in place, right?
Yeah. Anyways,
there's a good chunk of to me is historic kits, if you want to call them that have those in them. Like the Fiat 500 has them. The Julius Sprint, the 60s Alfa Romeo has them in it. I think the Mercedes 300 SL has a small teeny sheet in it. Like all those.
Even the 350Z had them.
Yeah, the 350Z had them in them. There's usually it's just a couple of the scripts that they can't make chrome decals, so they would do those little transfers instead. One thing, if anybody has any of those and you're thinking about them, because this bit a lot of people on the Aston Martin, the DBS had them for the letters on top of the engine.
Ooh, go ahead.
They don't stick to flat paint. They only stick to gloss paint. And everybody in the instructions are, and the real car is, that intake is flat white. And people would paint it flat white, and then of course the transfers won't stick, and then everybody lost their mind about the shitty product that Tamiya made that doesn't stick, and why would you not include a decal for it? Like, there's two little itty bitty flat spots on top of the thing. They're literally just piss on a plate flat to put those transfers on. You get a little bit of Tamiya acrylic gloss coat, and you paint those little spots, and then you stick your letters to them. But they will not stick to flat paint or semi-gloss paint. And many of people have found that out the hard way, because they're going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to make this I'm gonna make this Fiat all rusty, and then they try to stick the emblems to it, and they won't stick to the paint because it's flat. So
when I did the Aston Martin, I went to press on the things, and when I lifted it, some of the letters stayed on the car, and some of them stayed on the thing, and so I had to place little letters on the think Aston Martin, and I had to place and I had to place some of those letters, and that was tough.
The joys of building model cars.
Yeah.
All right, before I rack this next set of pictures here, around the room question: when you're building by yourselves, now we don't obviously. I don't know if either. Well, I don't think Sean does that at all because it's not the social media side that we are. But like, I don't go into group build rooms. Like there are these, guys do these live streams where they're all building, or they do, Discords and stuff like that. Don't do that. So all my building is solo building. Do you guys listen to music or something like that, podcasts or audio books or anything like that when you're at the bench? Is there an audio component to your bench time?
Go ahead, Sean.
I have an iPad and I watch Deadliest Catch or Gold Rush, because there's like 20 seasons of both of those shows, and there's not that much of a story to them, so I don't have to pay a whole lot of attention. It's kind of the same, so it's almost just like noise in the background. But yeah, that's typically what I watch. Either that, or I watch. I have Motor Trend television, so I'll watch Roadkill or something like that. Also, another show I can just kind of have on in the background, but don't have to pay a whole lot of attention to it to know what's going on. How about you, Mr. Tester?
I enjoy the hum of my ceiling fan. It's I am so much in the zone when I build that it's silence. That's what I truly enjoy.
I gotta have some kind of noise. I find it distracting to be silent.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I have on YouTube. I have various music videos, obviously, that I have saved into a playlist, and just start the playlist off, hit the shuffle button, and I think it's 7 hours worth of music videos. Yeah, every now and then you got to poke in there and advance the ad, or usually if I get into doing something, I'm not paying that much, like Sean said, it's background noise at that point, so I'm not. Hey, there's a 6-second advertisement on here for homeowners insurance. Yay, who cares? Get on the next song. I don't listen to it all the time, but especially if I'm decaling or something like that, where I want it to be some sort of background noise, but it's mindless to me activity, then I want some tunes in the background.
It's a good question.
All right, so let's plow through this as fast as we possibly can, which of course means, since I'm sharing pictures, means it won't be fast at all. This is why, again, we're already being cantankerous already. As I say, I'm going to share this, and then there's not an object to share. Good grief. So note to myself for future episodes of this, always restart my computer prior to, because this is I don't understand why I'm not getting an option to share the thing that I want to share, because it just has this pop up, and that is not what that is it? No, I don't know.
When I have to go into the office, it's noisy and there's a lot of talking going on around me, and there I have my earphones in and I have low level music playing all day long to block all of that so that I can concentrate. So at my bench, dead silence is what I really crave.
I just got an error message saying that my browser has blocked my screen and that I need to restart the window in order to do something. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's what that. I don't think that means what you think it means. but it's certainly all right. Well, we'll do June kits another day then, because
It's fine.
it's not not cooperating here. So let me grab something else on the way out so we can have one last discussion topic. I need to scroll backwards through our chat. 8 miles. Should have meant to put these on a different format, but I didn't get around to it. Sean went on ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to give it 10 questions to ask on a Scale Model Car podcast. And so I'm going to just I'm just going to pull one of these at random here, because some of the stuff we've covered more recently than others. That's a good one. What's a model technique that you're still trying to master?
Ooh. You pick the question, James. Go first.
That's not how this works. I'm just here for the finishing model kits. That's the technique I'm still trying to. To me, the thing that gets me 9 times out of 10, and there's a whole discussion about this on one of the other podcasts that made me giggle, is masking. To me, and it's not so much of an issue with masking. Like, I don't really have a lot of bleed through or things like that. I understand the concept to paint away from the tape and don't paint into the tape, so you're not, blowing your paint underneath the tape, basically. But that is something that I can sit here and I know that I can do. But man, when you screw that up, it's such a pain in the rear end. Like the one time that it does bleed through, it's a catastrophe, because it's always on a light color. It's never on a dark color where you can get away with it. It's always on white or bright yellow or some goofy color where you could clearly see where that tape line goes, where the paint burped through. And then you're trying to do that dance where you're trying to get like the finest sandpaper you have, sand back down, but you don't want to make it shinier than everything else around it, because usually, at least for me, I know there's some people out there that will paint their window masks or their window black and all that stuff, and then they gloss coat the whole thing, which to me, I don't understand what the point of that is. Your window black around your car isn't shiny 95% of the time.
Right.
Some cars it is, but most cars it isn't. Especially, and then you start getting into like bumper trim and stuff like that. It really isn't. That if you could get me, like, to me as kits, one of the things that kit that Z has is like separate pieces for the black. You have to paint the black, but they fit onto the chrome bumpers, and so you're not masking that. Like, I love that. There's some Hasegawa kits that are the same way in the new tool stuff, where they've separated off the side trim, they separated off the black or body colored components from the chrome bumpers, so that you don't have to mask those things off. That is such a tenuous balance, to me at least, that it becomes an avoidance thing. I don't want to screw that up, so I'm just not going to do it. Can't mess up the thing you don't do. It's like, where is it? Where'd it go? This Civic body that goes to that Civic that's been stalled forever has to have all of the trim on the bottom of the bumpers and this trim on the side skirt. That all has to be black. And then of course you've got to black out all the windows, because all of this window trim, it's like it's half a millimeter wide. So it's just really, really skinny window trim. I can't show it on camera because it won't show up.
Right.
But all of that has to be black. The bottom has to be black. The door handles have to be black. I don't really worry about the windshield washer fluid thing, so you can just pop them with a toothpick to cover it. But there's, this is like 2 levels of black. You have to mask the bottom of the car off, you have to mask the top of the car off, and it's a white car when it's done. So,
you're defeated.
Not defeated. If there was just like, because we had part of this discussion with Frank last episode, and just in general, like, the reason why I don't cheap out on tools and paint and stuff like that is I need stuff that works all the time. Like the side effect of Krylon and stuff like that is it works until it doesn't, and then it eats your model. Like, if there was a foolproof tape that would never ever leak, ever, and it's oh, I didn't burnish that one little piece right there, and then I've got black paint all over the side of the car, and it's, again, like, I know the techniques, I know how to tape it. I've the BMW 320 that was the last thing I've competed with, that was, taped off, but like this, this 320, or no, this is a better example. This Volvo S40 that Nunu did, the front bumper trim, the over the roof, oops, I'm pointing to the wrong thing, the over the roof trim, where the body seal is, all that's done in decals. Oh, that's a huge pain in the ass, James. I hate decals. Yeah, it is, but they fit perfectly, exactly where they're supposed to be, and I don't have to mask anything off.
Kevin Smith is a car painter by trade, or used to be, excuse me. He says to sand your 3M tape down with 2000 grit and the paint won't bleed. Tape is designed to be lightly sanded. Kevin, you can't just leave that out there. I don't understand. You put the tape down and sand it? Please put more on there, please.
Yeah, I was confused by that as well. And are you sanding the tape once it's been placed down? Or are you
oops, that wasn't what I meant to do. The comments moved just as I hit the show button. So Lewis Hicks is a really talented younger builder here, saying tips for bleed throughs, use exactly to lightly scrape that away. I'll tell you what, Lewis, what I try to do if I can is paint my trim in a different medium than I paint the car in. Like if I could paint the black trim in acrylic X18 on a lacquer paint job, well, then you can just get the acrylic thinner out and just, don't soak it, but just get it wet and rub the paint back off again. And you don't have to worry about it eating especially if you 2K'd it and then put the trim on, you don't have to worry about it eating the 2K at all.
Right.
I use the lightly scrape technique. That usually works pretty well for me. I've had good success with that.
Okay.
James, what's the modeling skill that you're trying to master?
Windows. I scratch them. I get glue on the corners. I always have problems with windows. It's just my Achilles heel. I've found that if I don't touch them and just like make a tape handle to place it and never put a fingerprint on it, then I never have to clean them, and I don't have to touch them, and that's the only way. But other than that, I always scratch them. I always mess them up somehow. They're never up to speed for me.
What's your favorite glue or adhesive to use for clear parts?
I use Canopy white glue and the Semidine, which is like a rhinestone adhesive, both water-based.
Interesting. I've never tried either one of those.
Okay. What do you use?
I usually use 5-minute epoxy.
Okay. Which is stringy, and that'll.
Well, I mean, not if you apply it when it's, hasn't started to set up yet.
Yeah. I used to use a 5-minute epoxy for all assembly, and then those little strings would always end up on the body or on the window or something, and then I'd rub that little spot, and then I'd make a scratch in the window, and
for me, I'm still trying to master the airbrush. I really
I find that hard to believe.
I've actually have very little experience using an airbrush. I would prefer to use I mean, I mostly almost use spray cans, except for applying like 2K clear, or if it's a color that I just can't get in a spray can. I will default to spray cans first, and then when I worked in a model shop, we had a full-size drive-in spray booth, and we had which was like dust-free environment, and we had I would spray with a small automotive touch-up gun, so I never used an airbrush. And I like that because you could make one pass and like coat the entire thing. You know, it was like boom. And it would like, I don't know. Once you get used to using that and spraying that volume of paint, um, I had great paint jobs, dust free, perfectly smooth, no runs. When I quit that job and I got a small spray booth here, and started to try to use the airbrush, man, I've just struggled with it. Trying to get the right air pressure, trying to get I'm not used to the much smaller amount of volume of paint that
Okay.
comes out, and what I end up doing, and I know it's just I haven't used it enough to really understand it. Um, but it seems like, if I'm spraying a body, the front of it will be, dry by the time I get around to the backside. Like I can't spray enough so it flows and just like
Yeah.
goes together. And then I get sort of orange peel all over it, which really frustrates me. And it's probably because I haven't found the right combination of air pressure and, um, the thinness of the or
I,
viscosity of the paint.
I'm gonna do a video one of these days, Sean, and it'll rock your whole foundation.
All right. I definitely need more practice with airbrushing. I need probably to study, people that, because I've watched several of your videos. I'm like, man, you use airbrush for everything. And
I do. I
I
airbrush everything.
I brush paint a lot of stuff, like small parts, trim. I will almost exclusively brush paint.
Never. I don't trust my brush. So just in general, base coat is base coat, clear coat is for shine. Base coat is for color, clear coat is for shine. So when I'm applying, say, a body color, it's just to get the color on the car. It's, it's 2 or 3 light coats, and once it's red, it's red. You don't need to build up, multiple coats of red. It's not going to get any more red. So, leave it at 3 mist coats. It's all covered. Shoot your clear, keep your clear thin, and you lose nothing, absolutely nothing. And that's my secret to every one of my paint jobs, is keep the paint as thin as possible on the body but still have enough color on it so that it's not see-through. So wet coats I don't understand base coat wet coats. I don't understand it. So when you talk about glossing the whole car, why? I don't get it.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to finding a technique that works for you. I mean, obviously you found
Right.
something and you're comfortable with it. And I had something that worked for me, and now I've had to learn how to, do something different. So I'm still struggling with it. The other thing that I really hate about it is just cleaning it. It's such a pain in the ass to clean an airbrush. It's like, I don't know.
I'll put that in the video too, because
I'm probably doing that wrong. Like I tear mine
you're
down.
over cleaning it. You're over cleaning it. Back flush it, wipe the needle, you're done.
Oh man, yeah, no, I tear it down completely every time.
No.
I spend 45 minutes cleaning an airbrush at the end.
40 seconds.
Did you get paint like dried and clogged up inside it? Like how do you
pour some thinner in the cup, spray it out a little bit, even with the paint mixed up with the thinner, spray it out a little bit into a wet or a paper towel, put the paper towel over the tip, pull the trigger, let it bubble up, get it, let it dissolve all of the paint, and then spray, back flush, spray, and then dump the rest into your paper towel. Pull your needle, pull your cap, clean those off, put it all back together, put some fresh thinner. I mean, just a hair of thinner in, spray it through to get rid of the rest of the remnants, and it's clean.
What airbrush do you use?
I use the Master G79. It's like a $60 trigger airbrush.
Okay. I have an old Pache VL.
Okay.
That's
I think I
probably
started with that one, to be
30
honest with you.
Yeah.
Kind
I
of
feel like
heavy.
yeah, I feel like I need a new one, but I don't know if it's really that I don't have a good airbrush, or it's the user's just not not
I
talented.
think the best airbrush is the one that you're used to be honest.
Okay.
All right, Lewis, there's like a 47-second delay here or something like that between YouTube and real life. He puts on here FBS UTG tape is phenomenal, low tax, it's not aggressive on paint, cuts with minimal pressure, usually originally using on a 1-to-1 low riders and then started with models better than Tamiya tape. All right, Lewis, I found this stuff online, but it looks like the thinnest width of this stuff is a 1/2 inch.
1/2 inch. Okay. Well,
Now that would be fine. That would be fine for masking off the bottom trim on that Honda. But when you start getting into like the top part of that,
that's what Tamiya tape is. It's a little more than a 1/2 inch.
right? But you can get Tamiya tape down to like,
Right.
half a millimeter and stuff like that. Well, all right. Well, I'll ask you that question too. Are you masking off with that 1/2 inch tape and then basically reverse masking off of it, like cutting the window trim back out of the tape? Or Lewis, what are you putting it on and cutting it with to get a straight edge on something you need narrower than that wide of a paint? I mean, I've got, the Tamiya tape that I usually use is like this thick, and I've got the Azu tape that they make that's like this thick. Like this is, I don't know, 3/10 of a millimeter wide. Because what this will end up doing on a lot of things is you can wrap the struts with springs on there. You can just put it in the part that you want that you don't want colored and wrap it around the spring just straight off the reel rather than have to try to cut strips to put it in there.
Yeah, I usually put this on my desk and then cut it into thin strips, place the thin strips, outline the piece that I want to mask, and then fill in all the holes afterwards.
I use 3M's blue line tape, which is kind of like it's vinyl and it's kind of stretchy.
Okay.
What I like about it is you can pull it and stretch it and it'll conform around a
Okay.
corner real easily.
Interesting. Tamiya made that same sort of thing like that. It was that white tape that was Tamiya's, for curves paint. Everybody hated it because they didn't realize you had to like stretch it out to get it to conform. Yeah. You can't just lay it on there like regular tape, being all gentle with it. You have to stretch it around the corners.
Right.
Well, guys, we're at 2 hours, 12 minutes. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Always a pleasure, guys.
All right.
It was fun.
Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
All right. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See ya. Yep.